Hello everyone, we're going to be making apple pie today. The first thing to do is to make crust. The crust recipe is very simple. It's 3 cups of flour, 1 cup of fat, and a ½ cup of cold water, and a teaspoon of salt. We're going to be making 2 crusts today, so the recipe is doubled. 6 cups of flour, 2 cups of lard, and 1 cup of cold water. There's the 6 cups of flour. There is the lard, the fat. You can use Crisco, you can use butter, or any other firm fat. I prefer lard. Butter is very difficult to work with. Mix the lard and the flour together until all the flour is coated in a little bit of fat. It should look like sand, almost. First cut it in, then get your hands in there and mix it up. Make sure the fat is evenly distributed throughout all of the flour. And as you can see, it gets sticky. You can see now it kind of looks like sand. And we'll pour in the water slowly. A little bit more water. A little bit more water. And you can see it makes quite the mess in the beginning. A little bit more water. And just keep kneading it in. A little bit more water. You see the dough begins to firm up. And the last of the water. Continue kneading until all the water is absorbed. And you have a big giant dough ball. There you go, big giant dough ball. Believe it or not, that's our pie crust. Knead well until all the water is absorbed. You can see that the bowl is fairly clean. There shouldn't be a lot of residue left in the bowl. Cut your dough ball into quarters, into 4 pieces. Make 4 roughly equal-sized dough balls. Each dough ball represents 1 crust, a bottom crust and a top crust. Take some paper towels and dampen them. You don't want them soaking wet, but you do want them good and damp. Squeeze all the excess out. And then wrap each dough ball individually in one of your damp paper towels. Put your dough in the refrigerator to chill for at least 1/2 hour. Now it's time to slice some apples. This convenient little apple slicer makes life really easy. I prefer Granny Smith apples, but you can use any type. Granny Smith apples are nice and firm, and they lend a tart flavor to the apple pie, so it's not overly sweet. You need a lot of apples. Once your apples are peeled and cored, you need to clean them up a little bit and cut them in half. Take the skin residue and the little residues of core out of them. Now it's time to roll the dough. Make sure you have a good, clean, flat surface that is very well floured. I'm not trying to be fancy, I'm just trying to get the flour evenly distributed. Your dough balls that's been chilling in the refrigerator, coat it in a little bit of flour, coat your rolling pin with a little bit of flour, and roll the dough out until it's about 2 millimeters thick. Put a little flour in the bottom shell, cinnamon and sugar. A lot of cinnamon and sugar. Be very generous. There's your sugar. A lot of cinnamon and sugar. Spread it around so it's fairly even. Take your apples and begin to fill the shell. You want your apples to lay fairly flat. Put a good layer in, generous layer, and then more cinnamon and sugar. Be generous with the cinnamon and the sugar. Another layer of apples. and more cinnamon and sugar. Be generous with the cinnamon and sugar. And more apples. You want to mound your apples up in your pie because the apples will cook down. There's a nice mound. And more cinnamon and sugar. Be generous with the cinnamon and sugar. Reflour your board. I'm not trying to be fancy, I'm just trying to distribute it evenly. Get your second dough ball and make the top crust. Again, you should roll it out till it's about 1 to 2 millimeters thick. Once your pie is completely assembled, make sure your oven is preheated to 350 degrees and put it in the oven for about 1 hour. Cut vents in the top of your pie crust. Otherwise, the juices will overflow and make a mess. Once your pies are made, put them in the oven, 350 degrees, for about 1 hour. Your finished pies need to cool for about 1 hour before you can eat them. Cut your pie into 8 equal slices and enjoy. Vanilla ice cream goes great. What you don't finish, you can refrigerate and have for the next day. Bon appetit.